What childhood regret still stays with you today? I still think about Dylan sometimes, even though it's been over 20 years since mom dated him. I was 9, this snot-nosed kid who thought the world revolved around my dumb opinions, and I straight up called him poor and ugly right to his face one afternoon. We were all piled in his beat-up old Bronco, rusty green thing that smelled like oil and adventure, and I just blurted it out because the seats were torn up and the radio only picked up static half the time. He didn't deserve that shit. Not even close. He was just this laid-back guy in his early 30s, always showing up with a grin and a 6-pack of root beer for me and my sister, ready to drive us to the park or the beach without a single complaint. Mom had been seeing him for a few months, nothing super serious from what I could tell, but he was around enough that I got territorial. Dad had split a couple years before, and I guess I figured anyone new was the enemy. Dylan's style didn't help in my kid brain. He'd roll up in ripped jeans that looked like they'd been through a war, scuffed up skate shoes that squeaked on the kitchen floor, and his arms covered in these black and gray tattoos that peeked out from under his faded band tees. To me, he was this scruffy loser who couldn't afford a real car or clothes from the mall. I'd whine about the Bronco every ride. This thing's gonna fall apart, Dylan. Why can't we take Mom's Civic? He'd just laugh it off, crank some old rock tape, and say something like, hey kiddo, this baby's got soul. Someday you'll get it. I never did, not then. I was a total little asshole, treating him like crap because he didn't fit my idea of cool. It wasn't until I was in my late teens that it hit me how wrong I'd been. I was flipping through some old photo albums at Grandma's, and there was this picture of us three, me, sis, and Dylan, grinning like idiots at the county fair, his Bronco parked crooked. In the background, that truck, it's badass now in hindsight. Vintage Ford, tough as hell, the kind of ride that turns heads at car shows. And his clothes? Hell, that's just who he was, unapologetic, owning his vibe without giving a damn about what some 9-year-old thought. The tattoos were stories, not scars. He'd tell me bits about them sometimes, like the one on his forearm from a road trip. Gone wrong. He was kind of fault with me, even after I was a dick. He'd toss me a quarter for the arcade every time, but let me pick the playlist, no questions asked. What floors me even more is that my parents knew the whole time. I only found out years later, when Mom let slip during a random dinner chat that, yeah, she'd heard me say that crap about Dylan being poor and ugly. Dad was there too, nodding along like it was no big deal, and they both just let it slide. Never said a word to me back then, never pulled me aside for a talk. I guess they figured I'd grow out of it, or maybe they didn't want to make a thing out of Mom's dating life. But damn, it stings knowing they witnessed me being that shitty and chose to protect my fragile ego over calling me out. Dylan bounced not long after that summer. Life pulled him somewhere else. I think he mentioned a job up north, but he never held it against me. Left with a hug and a take care of your mom, alright? Now I'm pushing 30, got my own kid who's starting to mouth off just like I did, and Dylan pops into my head every time I see a classic truck rumbling by or spot someone with that effortless, tattooed swagger. He was one of the good ones, hands down, the kind of guy who made you feel seen without trying too hard. I was the shitty little punk who didn't deserve his patience. If I could track him down tomorrow, I'd buy him a beer, apologize for being such a brat, and tell him the Bronco was the coolest damn thing I'd ever ridden in. Wherever he is, I hope he's still out there, jeans ripped just right, cruising in something with soul, living the best life he carved out for himself.